You ever see a grown woman in a silk bathrobe try to block a bulldozer with nothing but pure rage and a gold-plated clipboard? Because let me tell you, at 7 o'clock sharp on a Monday morning, I saw that exact spectacle, right from my kitchen window, coffee in hand. It sounded like the end of the world, diesel engines rumbling across those perfect Willowbrook Estates lawns. The kind of place where the grass is trimmed with scissors and the air always smells like lemon cleaner and entitlement. And there's Hannah Miller, the self-crowned queen of the HOA, screaming bloody murder at a crew of construction workers who honestly just wanted to get paid and go home. You should have seen her, face red as a ripe tomato, finger jabbing at the air like she was conducting a symphony of outrage. You can't do this. Stop immediately. This is private property. Meanwhile, these poor guys are flipping through their permits, looking at each other, wondering if they'd wandered onto the set of some reality TV show. But what none of them realized, least of all Hannah, was that those bulldozers weren't there because of some city mistake or bad luck. No, they were there because of a domino chain she herself had set in motion, and I was the guy who tipped the first tile. My name's Carl Lee, retired civil engineer, lately of Willowbrook Estates, a place I picked, honest to God, for its peace and quiet. After 30 years building bridges and untangling government red tape, all I wanted was to putter in my garden, maybe tinker with some woodworking, and read books nobody ever checked out of the library. I thought I paid my dues. I thought this was the sort of neighborhood where folks minded their own business. Instead, I landed smack in the middle of Hannah Miller's personal fiefdom, and trust me, I didn't see it coming. Before we get any deeper, let me know in the comments, where are you watching from? And does your HOA have its own Hannah? Because this story, you're going to want to share this one. It all started about 6 months after I moved in. I decided to build a modest little workshop out back, just 12 by 6, nothing that'd make better homes and gardens, but enough space for a workbench, some tools, a few unfinished projects. I did everything by the book, permits from the city, licensed contractors, the works, matched the house style, kept it away from property lines, made sure it wouldn't block anyone's view of their precious rose bushes. I thought, who could possibly object? Enter Hannah Miller, stage left, clipboard, power suit, hair so tight in a bun I figured she hadn't blinked in 5 years. She's on my porch at 9 a.m. sharp, reading off a list of violations. Structure is 3 square feet too big, colors not on the approved palette, roof pitch is off by a couple degrees. She's quoting covenants like she's reciting the Constitution, except nobody voted for this version. I try to reason with her, show her permits, plans, even a couple photos of workshops just like mine scattered around the neighborhood. She doesn't blink, just that icy smile, and rules are rules, Mr. Lee. If we make exceptions for you, where does it stop? Pretty soon, I'm getting violation notices every week, each with a higher fine, $50, then 100, then 200. I mean, I've seen HOA power trips before, but Hannah was running this like her own private cash machine. So, I show up at the next board meeting, thinking maybe I could talk some sense into people. Let me paint you a picture. Cold fluorescent lights, folding chairs, Hannah at the head of the table flanked by board members who looked like they'd been up all night cramming for a test nobody wanted to take. When my turn comes, I lay out everything, plans, photos, city permits. Hannah listens, poker-faced, then announces the architectural committee, surprise. It's just the same board members, meeting in secret, has denied my request unanimously. End of discussion. Now, here's where it starts to feel like a bad sitcom. Over the next couple months, I watched Hannah target neighbors for the wildest stuff. Basketball hoops 2 inches too close to the curb, roses not on the sacred landscaping list, never mind the exact same roses in her own front yard, even old Mrs. Peterson for a wreath on her door past Christmas. The fines stacked up, and somehow, improvements to the neighborhood went down as the HOA's reserve fund ballooned. Thing is, Hannah picked the wrong retiree to mess with. I spent decades untangling municipal contracts and reading government fine print. If there's a loophole, I'll find it. I start digging. County clerks, office, state archives, original development plans, every set of covenants from day one. Turns out, Hannah had been applying the strictest rules from the newest part of the development to the whole neighborhood, illegal as a $3 bill. She was even mismanaging funds, according to the HOA's own sketchy books. But the gold mine? The so-called detention pond in the center of Willowbrook, which she used as an excuse to jack up landscaping fees, was actually a protected wetland under state law. Hannah had ordered landscaping work around it without so much as a permit, which could land the HOA, and her personally, in seriously hot water. So I keep collecting evidence, photos, soil samples, records of every improvement she made without approval. When I present her with a chance to back down at the next board meeting, she doubles down, threatens to tear down my workshop, and slap even bigger fines on me. You know that feeling when someone pulls the pin on the grenade and then throws it at themselves? Yeah, that's what this felt like. That's when I go nuclear. I file complaints with the State Environmental Agency, the Attorney General's office, and, just for good measure, pitch a sustainable housing project to the Governor's Economic Development Office, using that unused land at the edge of Willowbrook that Hannah claimed she controlled. Within weeks, my project's not only approved, it's fast-tracked. We're talking full state support, environmental blessing, zoning variances, the works. While Hannah's busy drafting threatening letters about my dinky little workshop, I'm putting together a plan to build a dozen new homes next to her backyard, with the governor and the media cheering me on. When I finally tell Hannah, at a packed board meeting, no less, that construction is starting next month, she absolutely loses it. Promises lawsuits, injunctions, whatever it takes to stop this assault on property values. I calmly point out, she'd be suing the state of Texas, and probably the governor himself. You could hear a pin drop. The morning the bulldozers roll in, Hannah storms out in her robe, hair in curlers, screaming at anyone who'll listen. The construction foreman, bless his heart, just hands her the official permits with the governor's signature. That's when the governor himself shows up, camera crew in tow, giving speeches about sustainable development and affordable housing, and making sure every news outlet in the state sees Hannah's meltdown. She tries to stop the project, waving those papers like a magic wand, but the only thing she accomplishes is getting herself filmed in full meltdown mode, bathrobe, curlers, and all. And then, here's the twist, a neighbor I'd never spoken to, Mr. Dominguez, steps out of the crowd. He's quiet, always kept to himself, but turns out he's an environmental lawyer. He's been quietly documenting Hannah's misdeeds for months. Every unapproved expenditure, every time she bullied a neighbor into paying a bogus fine, every whisper of shady deals with local contractors. Together, we hand the governor's team enough evidence to open a full-blown investigation. The TV cameras eat it up. Hannah, once the untouchable queen of Willowbrook, is now just another headline for HOA corruption exposed. By the end of that week, the state environmental folks are swarming over the detention pond, calculating fines that could bankrupt the HOA. The Attorney General's team is hauling off files for a fraud audit. The other board members are quitting faster than rats off a sinking ship, claiming they never knew what was really going on. The governor's office makes it clear the housing project will go ahead, and any HOA challenge will just end up in more bad press and legal bills. The fallout? Willowbrook's residents vote to clean house, start fresh. Hannah is facing personal liability for 6 figures worth of fines and restitution, plus criminal charges for fraud, misappropriation, you name it. Her house goes up for sale to pay off legal fees, and by the time the dust settles, she's left with nothing but memories of the little kingdom she lost. Funny thing, my workshop's still standing. The new board reviewed the case, apologized for all the grief, and even refunded my fines with interest. The housing project next door finished ahead of schedule, eco-friendly, and a point of pride for the whole county. Turns out the only thing that got bulldozed that day was Hannah's ego. Now, I get letters from people all over, folks who saw the story on the news, neighbors who've tangled with their own HOAs, even a few former board members asking how I managed to turn the tables so fast. The truth is, systems only work for bullies if nobody fights back. When you know the rules better than the people misusing them, and you've got the guts to speak up, sometimes justice does catch up. Sometimes karma really does drive a bulldozer. So, what do you think? Was I right to take on the HOA, or should I have just caved and torn down my workshop like they wanted? Ever had your own Hannah to deal with? Drop your stories in the comments. Let's get a debate going. And if you think this kind of justice is worth fighting for, Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, because the only way we keep these petty tyrants in check is by shining a spotlight on them, one neighborhood at a time.